Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome to my review for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Eye Guy from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This is the latest in the Monsters line of figures. Let's go ahead and get started with the accessories as usual. As you can see right next to him, he has this really cool eyeball accessory like from the show where he has this eye floating out extension, and it's on this little stand, kind of like a Thomas G stand with a lightning effect, kind of more like a lightning ghost effect around it, which is removable. And I actually think that's one of the coolest things about this. Like, not only is it kind of a neat little extra feature of something that was in the show, but it just makes for something cool for display. And you also have the effect part to put on the eye in addition to this for sort of like a blasting effect. And then you just have two additional punching hands, nothing too special to write home about. But now we can talk about the figure itself. If you don't know, I've said in past Lightning Collection figure reviews for these monsters that like the monsters of the week are not my thing. They're not something I personally wanted that much, so I wasn't really looking forward to them that much. With that being said, I thought these have been pretty cool figures and really impressed me, and for something I didn't want all that much, I thought they were pretty neat, and I think this guy falls in line with that to a degree. I think he's probably my least favorite, not because I don't like Eye Guy, but because I have the most nitpicks with him, but it's nothing that would necessarily prevent me from picking it up or recommending it depending on what your standards are. So I'll just say what my nitpicks are is the material here on this. I don't know if you can tell by looking at it, and me doing this is weird, but it's a weird glossy feeling material for this part of his body, whereas you have kind of the more matte painted feel on his hands and then up here on his face, which does create this weird discrepancy in the way he looks in terms of the toy and the way it feels, and it makes it feel overall a little bit cheaper, and there is just something off about that for me, and I feel the other figures are more cohesive. This almost feels more like the material of a cheaper kind of like standard line toy. It's not a huge deal, but it's just something I definitely notice and is strange for me in comparison to the other figures. Also, right here on his waist articulation, there's like a notable dip that makes it look like he's wearing underpants that are too big for him, which is also something strange that I kind of notice. Also, he has the most loose joint problems I've had. Nothing too overly loose yet, but definitely more loose right outside the box, so it could definitely open itself up more to loose joints in the future. With that being said, there's still a lot to like about this guy. I mean, this scale, I think it looks really awesome and impressive, and I really think it just looks badass, honestly. I know that there's some people that really get up in arms about like the exact scale to such of these and whatnot, but honestly, so long as it's roughly in the neighborhood, I'm fine. And that's exactly what this is for me. And I really like the way it looks in terms of scale. And the details, like on the head sculpt here, you know, setting aside the discrepancies in the material here, look really nice. I love the kind of details here that make it look like skin, gross alien skin, but skin. I also really like the compound eye here, and you can actually move it around too. It's a little bit tough to do, but you can move it around looking in different directions because you don't have head articulation here, but you do have eye articulation, which is obviously a first, but I think that's pretty neat. As mentioned, you do have waist articulation, but it's really just turning side to side. You have your nice hinge joint here, nice ball joint here. You have an elbow joint here like usual, and then a hinge joint at the fist. You get like basically the amount of articulation you'd expect from something like this. Like, it's on par with the other Lightning Collection figures, but because he's more of a cumbersome figure, you're obviously not going to get as much of a range of motion as other ones. You have a nice ball joint at the leg, you have your knee joint here, and you have a little hinge joint at the foot. Again, you will get enough articulation for this type of mold, but you're not going to be doing some gymnast pose like a regular Ranger figure. And as I mentioned, unfortunately, there is some loose joint problems, a little bit on the legs, a little bit on the feet. This one in particular is really loose. Like, right when I pulled him out of the box, this one immediately flung down, and the waist too feels a little bit wobbly. So also, I personally don't have the original Eye Guy figure for this to compare it to. I'll kind of set him aside here and allow future me to find a picture to compare him to. But I can say pretty certainly that even though this guy has some issues, that it's obviously going to be the better pick. I think it's just going to be a much more detailed and accurate looking pick despite its imperfections. And that's kind of where I get to with this guy. Like, I'm still not a huge fan of the Monsters of the Week personally, but they've really impressed me. This guy is still my least favorite, I think, because he has the more quality control problems that I've personally found. He feels the cheapest. But with that being said, I think if you're a huge Monster of the Week fan and you like the looks of this and you really like Eye Guy and you understand some of the problems I pointed out, I think you'll still be happy with it. Even though I think it's the weakest release, for me personally, I still don't think it's that bad, and I still think it looks cool and has some cool aspects. I also want to note that I have seen the monster figures go on sale. In particular, Pumpkin Wrapper and Sphinx went on sale rather significantly. Pudgy Pig just came out, so I haven't seen that, but I have noticed that those went on sale. So if you are interested in this, I would recommend, unless you're just like the world's biggest Eye Guy fan and you need to get it right now, just wait, and there's a good chance it'll go on sale on Amazon or something, and then at that price, I can absolutely recommend it. But that's about it for this one, though, guys. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.